Let me better turn on the microphone. Okay. I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Burke County Board of Commissioners Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 regular meeting. Madam Clerk, we have Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Carswell, Vice Chair Britton, our County Finance Officer, our County Attorney, and our County Manager all in attendance. Ma'am, I would remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices. And I would ask all speakers to activate the microphones at the lectern before speaking or making motions for the YouTube recording, please. And before we get started, I do want to acknowledge the passing of the former First Lady, Eleanor Rosalind Carter. His wife, the 39th President, Jimmy Carter, she served as the First Lady from 1977 to 1981. She was an envoy abroad and a leading advocate for numerous causes, including mental health research. So please keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. At this time, I'll ask Pastor Keith Barnett from Bridge Worship Center Ministries International to lead us in the invocation. And I'll ask the audience to remain standing as I ask our county attorney to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Lord, we just thank you this week, being the Thanksgiving holidays, that God, that just as you have done for years, you begin to overflow the abundance of your promises, the covenant that you have promised to your children. We ask that and pray that you overflow the blessings of wisdom and knowledge into this county, into this state, that God, that everything that they proceed to do would be under the mighty hand of God. That, Lord, that you would overflow your blessings in your will, so that they would overcome obstacles, overcome issues for the glory of your kingdom, to keep the places that is protected for your people. Bless them and bless all the county workers and, Lord, the school systems and all those that entertain into them. That, God, that we are always in your will and never in your way. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, that brings us to item number 4, approval of agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended, to include the addition of a proclamation appreciation for firefighters, first responders to Section 6 presentations.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. That motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Next item, item number 5 on our agenda, approval of meeting minutes. This is for approval for March 7th, 2023, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting, March 20th, 2023, Board of Commissioners regular meeting, April 4th, 2023, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting, April 12th, 2023, Board of Commissioners special meeting, and April 18th, 2023, Board of Commissioners regular meeting. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the following minutes as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that carries 5-0. That'll bring us to item number 6 on our agenda. This presentations, and under presentations, item number 1, proclamation of appreciation for firefighters and first responders. And I'll ask Mike Willis, Fire Marshal and Emergency Director, to come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As you know, it's been a pretty busy 2-3 weeks for us. And all of our 19 departments have went above and beyond to do what we can to provide and protect the citizens of Burke County. This past Saturday, we had a pretty close call, or what we feel like was a close call on Mineral Springs Mountain. Had it not been for the efforts of all the county fire departments, especially Lovelady, Chief Nick Reed Jr., and our county ranger and his staff, it could have had a totally different outcome. And so some of the folks I've talked to had some 1985 flashbacks, and we just do not want that to happen again. But just know that all the responders in the county are there. REACT helps us with traffic. EMS provides a standby when we need it. And I'll give you a sheet just to highlight some of the numbers from us. Just November 5th, when the burn ban was started until 2:20 today, we have responded, the county fire departments have responded to 137 outside calls of some type of fire or smoke investigation. That's pretty astronomical in 16 days. That's on top of the other calls that they've run. But we have made an aggressive effort this time issuing citations. Citations isn't something we'd like to do. But again, 2016, I was here then when that happened. That's when I started here in the county in 2017. And it's a tremendous cost to the county and to the taxpayers statewide and nationwide when we have those big disasters. So our citation campaign for burning during the burn ban, I think, has proven effective. We've done our best to get the word out so people know, and we've learned some avenues that we can approach moving forward to get better notification out. But, we just want to thank you guys for your support. And Chief Reed, I don't know if he wants to say anything or not. Chief
Would you like to come forward, say a few words?
They've got some better statistics from their side than what I have from ours.
Evening.
Nick Reed, Chief of Lovelady Fire Department. Again, I appreciate the recognition. I can't take all credit. We called resources from every department in Burke County just to make sure we had it covered. As he mentioned, we didn't want to reflect back on 1985 and lose a lot of residents, homes, and property. So we were pre-gaming as quick as we could. Quick action. Again, we're thankful for Forestry Service and the working relationship we have with them. Quick deployment of their resources, supporting ours, giving a positive end to it.
Now, I'm Chris Moss. I'm the county ranger here for Burke County for the Forest Service. Been here since 2014 as county ranger, and I was assistant county ranger for 10 years prior to that. I'm going to pass back the thanks to these guys because if it went for the Burke County Fire Departments getting on these fires quick and helping keeping them small, I wouldn't be able to do my job as well as I do. Like he said, for the past few weeks have been pretty rough on us. We've had to do with the burn ban calls as the fire marshals and the department have too. We also had multiple actual loose fires that we've had to do with during this whole time too. 3 or 4 of them actually took several. We had one fire started back on the 31st over in the NOAA community that we just now finally called it out back on Saturday. We had to work on these fires so dry we had to work on these things for weeks at a time to ensure that these little embers and stuff don't come back alive. We've had a total of 12 fires, actual loose fires, since the 31st of October. And we've had to employ several of our resources. During the burn ban especially, there was a call made by our region for help from out of region, from other parts of eastern North Carolina. Several crews came up, strike teams. We even had some team and stuff coming from other states. We had one team working on the Mineral Springs fire that's actually out of Washington State. So we actually had a whole crew of stuff coming from all over the country helping us there, and that was a lot of thanks to my regional people overhead over me that brought all that in, brought a management team that actually helped manage all those resources too. So that's what North Carolina Force was able to bring to the table to help put all these fires. But then again, these guys that's in these local fire districts were the first ones on scene, the ones helping keep these things small. So I think definitely have to thank them for that.
Saturday, we had just over 100 firefighters on Mineral Springs Mountain altogether, Forest Service and the county. So when they up the readiness plans like this, we automatically dispatch 2 fire departments and our office and the Forest Service to every call we get. So it's, we just try to get on it quick so it don't get out of hand. Be happy to answer any questions.
You have our deep gratitude. Before I read the proclamation, gentlemen, comments?
I'd like to thank you for you and all the people that served in fighting those fires. And I'm not trying to get ahead of you here, but we probably ought to let them know we haven't lifted the fire ban just because we got a little rain today, did we?
No, sir, not yet. I was just looking with Chris, just a little bit on the weather. Chris and his staff shared with me 2 weeks ago. It's been that long ago. The numbers, we looked at the graph of the numbers from 2016 comparing to now, and it's drier now than it was in 2016 when we had the outbreak. So it's been bad. It's going to take a lot to get it damp enough to where we can go back to normal. We're hovering right around an inch and 2/10 of rain so far today, and we're praying for a lot more. So the burn ban is not over. It's not lifted, and please don't burn. Not till we can get some good saturation in the ground.
Any other comments, Jim?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I was 2 weeks into the fire department in 1985 when the fire happened on the mountain. Brand new, green as I could be. I learned what an Indian pack was really quickly. And the thing that astounded me most of all was the organization, the folks like you who could take someone like me who didn't know anything and organize us in a way that we could be effective. So my hat's off to you, my hat's off to every one of the firefighters with the Forest Service, with our local departments, our EMS folks. I had a friend of mine who lost her home in the 1985 fire. She was a senior in high school. She just completed a brand new home on Mineral Springs Mountain and moved in 2 months ago. And I mean, you guys, you were a godsend to her. And just there's not words in English language for me to tell you how much I appreciate what you do.
Well, we have several hundred volunteer firemen, and they're the ones that deserve all the credit. You know, we show up and we're support to them. Whatever our office can do, whatever the chief needs, they ask for it. We try to help them get it, organize it, move it, carry it, whatever they want. But, he bailed off the mountain first thing when he got there. When he crawled back out. I was standing up there when he come out. And they go through the ringer, and you know they're volunteers. So it's.
I guess I have one more question. Do we still use Indian packs?
Yeah, when Steve come out with a backpack blower, that was a godsend for us to replace carrying all that water in there. That helps quite a bit.
Any other comments, gentlemen?
In 1985, I owned a business on Main Street in Valdez, and I remember when the fire jumped the road, jumped Interstate 40, the scariest time that I can ever remember. There's nothing to compare to fire as far as I know. You guys have to get up out of bed 2 or 3 o'clock a.m. You know, sometimes you go out with your families and stay for days. So there's not enough words in this proclamation that will tell you how we really feel and how much we appreciate what you do. Chris, you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot here in these counties. So I don't know what else to say, but thank you and how much we do appreciate what you do. And on a personal note, I appreciate the work out in the the road community out there. I've got some brand new family members that just moved in with a new home, and we were able to. That fire was able to be put out. So thank you so very much, Mike. Thank you for the great job that you do as our fire marshal.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any other comments, gentlemen? If not, I'll read the proclamation. Proclamation reads Firefighters and First Responders Appreciation, Burke County, North Carolina. Whereas everyday citizens of Burke County directly benefit from the dedication and commitment of firefighters that serve Burke County. Whereas these public servants and unsung heroes help Burke County citizens in times of great need. And whereas wildfires are a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and people are at the greatest risk from fire in homes, property loss, and whereas on November 18, 2023, the Burke County Fire Marshal's Office, the North Carolina Forestry Service, and all local Burke County fire departments responded to an uncontrolled wildfire on Mineral Springs Mountain. And whereas thanks to the quick response and teamwork from all agencies, the rapid water setup, including air support, led to expedited containment. And whereas this professional response prevented any person from being injured, prevented structure loss, and minimized the impacted acreage. And whereas we, the Burke County Board of Commissioners, would like to recognize and thank the men and women in all the local fire departments in Burke County, the North Carolina Forestry Service, and the Burke County Fire Marshal's Office, who stand every day as our guardians, ready to protect our home and businesses and to go above and beyond the call of duty to save lives and property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Burke County Board of Commissioners officially acknowledge their appreciation and support for the commitment and sacrifice made by each member of all public safety teams in Burke County, and thank them for all that they do for the citizens. Can we please give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen? Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'm humbled to make the motion to approve proclamation number 2023-12.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank all of you. This brings us to item number 2 under presentations, Pet of the Month. It's always one of our most fun times of the evening, presented by, who is doing the presentation? Is it Elizabeth? Yeah, Elizabeth, are you back there? I didn't see you. Elizabeth, Animal Services Coordinator. We recognize in Dallas and Princess Sniffles. Okay.
I got this. Keep on going this one. This is Dallas, and that is not the correct photo of Dallas, as you guys can see. That is another dog that we have named Harley. We got their photos mixed up, but Dallas is about 3 years old. He is a male, and he is neutered, and he's looking for his forever home. Dog-friendly, cat-friendly, kid-friendly. Not very friendly when it comes to everybody clapping, though. That kind of freaked him out. But other than that, he's great. He's a fantastic dog. That is Princess Sniffles. She's a cat that we've had at the shelter for going on about 3 months now. She has some chronic sniffles that we can't get rid of, and our veterinarian thinks that it's time to just get her out of the shelter and into a new environment. So if anybody's interested in a chronically snotty cat, please send them our way. In the last 30 days, we have sent out 71 animals adopted or returned to their owners, which is quite a bit in 30 days. We've had volunteers that have logged just over 68 hours with us between our Dogs Day Out program and just volunteering at the shelter. 43% of our animals have came in as owner surrenders. And then we distributed over 1,000 pounds of dry food and 52 cans of wet food from our pet food pantry. This is Buddy and Zola. As I said previously, we have had about half of our intakes have been owner surrenders, but we wanted to highlight the fact that we also have a high focus on owner retention. So these two guys came to us. A gentleman was becoming homeless, and he really didn't want to give up his dogs, but he didn't know what else to do. We worked with him, gave him pet food and necessary supplies. He did find a place to stay, and we were able to get him an outdoor kennel to keep his dogs in through our foundation, and he was able to actually keep his dogs that way without having to surrender to the shelter. You guys may have seen that we did a Jordan's Way fundraiser that raised almost 10 grand for our foundation, and that was pretty amazing. If you guys want to watch that highlight reel, we do have that QR code on there, but we weren't able to embed the link. But that was a lot of fun. It was pretty amazing. We did it was a 3-hour live fundraiser on Facebook, and we had a lot of fun doing that. We are actually doing this tonight. I had a few people come in before I left. Houndsgiving is where people can come down and make Thanksgiving plates for our dogs and cats. They enjoyed some turkey, green beans, Cool Whip, and canned pumpkin tonight, so they had their little Thanksgiving meals tonight. All the places you'll go. This is a fun thing that we're doing, hopefully for quite some time, or we will continue this for a while. We have little passports that people can come and pick up, go to places in Burke County, get their passport stamped, or take a dog with them, get their passport stamped, and then come back and they can get a prize if they fill their passports. Santa Claus for Things with Paws. We have our angel tree set up at East Burke Animal Hospital of Valdez, Tractor Supply in Morganton, the shelter, and Barkside Grooming in Valdez as well. They all have photos of our dogs on our trees with their wish list for the Christmas season. And then Home for the Holidays, this is our 5th annual year for that, coming down to the shelter, picking out a pet to take home for the holiday, and then returning them afterwards, and of course their presents go with them as well. So we're hoping to clear our shelter this year. Then of course our information on where you can find us and how you can get a hold of us.
Great presentation, busy as usual.
Yeah, we
Very
said that way.
creative. Gentlemen, questions, comments? Just one question. How full is the shelter right now?
Packed. We stay that way. We don't have a kennel. We don't have a kennel open. So, yeah, we stay that way.
Thank you. And I'd like to recognize Dallas the dog and Princess Sniffles as pets of the month. And I'd encourage fostering or adoptions, and encourage spaying or neutering your pets. So,
Thank you.
have a happy Thanksgiving.
Just drop him off with the first guy on the right there.
Yeah, Alan, you want that one? Well, gentlemen, that'll bring us to presentation number 3, Blue Ridge Community Action Update, fiscal year 2024-2025 CSBG application, presented by Aaron Smith, Community Services Director.
Hi there, good evening. I'm Erin Smith, and our HR Director, Meg Petit, is with us today as well. Okay, so I'm just here just to give a quick update about Blue Ridge Community Action and what we are and the different services that we offer. Oh no. Okay, and so I know that most of you, we are over, or our main location, the corporate location, is over on North Green Street. I'm sure most of you think that we are just a child care center, but that is in fact not true. We are a community action agency, which is a federal nonprofit. The majority of our funding comes from federal, state, and private entities. There are 34 community action agencies in the state and over 1,000 over the country. We are unique because of all the different services that we do offer. We have 4 main umbrellas of services that we offer as far as like our community services. So our information and referral, we are actually taking the people's information and referring them to the different services that we have. We have a Reach Self-Sufficiency and a Circles. So we are actually taking people's information and then teaching them how to become more self-sufficient so that they don't have to rely on public services. The Circles is more in a classroom setting, and then the Reach is in our building, and then they have a case manager that's walking them through different life skills. In our senior services, we have home delivered meals. We deliver 86 warm meals to seniors in Caldwell County every single day. We have 3 different congregate nutrition sites so that clients can come in, or anyone that in the community can come in and enjoy a warm meal and also socialize. We have a CSEP program, 55 and older, income eligible. We place them with jobs, but then we also give them different resources so that they are more employable. And then our foster grandparents program, they are all over our schools here in Burke County. They're just a different mentorship. They're a different person in the classroom. In our senior services, also we have our adult day center that is at the corporate location over on Green Street. We are offering respite care for the caregiver, but then we're also providing socialization and field trips and crafts and exercise time for the clients that come to us. And in our family and children, we have the child daycare, Head Start, Early Head Start, NC Pre-K. Those are obviously for the children in our communities. We have 3 different centers here in Morganton, 1 in Northside, and then there is 1 in Rutherford College. But obviously Head Start is providing services for the entire family as well as laying the foundation for the children. Our weatherization program, the purpose of weatherization is to go into people's homes to make them more energy efficient, to make that their power bill is lower so that they can use that extra money for other things and that they need to be provided for. We have a rental program, so we have about 46 rental properties. Breeden Real Estate does our property management, and so that is just providing affordable housing for different members in our community if they're eligible. And then our VITA tax income refund, so anybody that makes less than $60,000 a year, our finance department will actually do their taxes for them. We average about $800 per tax season. And so obviously these are just, anybody is eligible to come and apply for the program. All of the different programs that we offer are obviously based on the guidelines set by the state or the federal government. And then, like the purpose obviously is to help members in our community become more self-sufficient and to provide them with services that they may not know that we have. Obviously, I thank you for allowing me to come because I think several members in our community are not familiar with all that a community action agency can actually offer.
Absolutely. So we are doing so many things within our counties, specifically our community service block grant, which is the community service, the orange section on the graph you see is the community service block grant. So that is federal funding that comes down, and this coming fiscal year, we're in the process of applying for the community service block grant. They have allocated us $511,822, which is a decrease from this present fiscal year due to COVID, and we aren't getting all of those funds this time. But we plan to use those funds in the exact same way that we have been in helping our clients in Burke, Caldwell, and Rutherford County reach self-sufficiency. So we do that through our Reach Self-Sufficiency program, which will be serving 18 clients in Burke County for the coming fiscal year. And in our information and referral program, we will be serving 70 clients in Burke County. These are our goals and projections, but I can tell you last year we were far exceeding those. So last year in Burke County, we served 175 clients in Burke County, and our self-sufficiency program served 34 clients in Burke County. So we are just continuing to do this work with the funding given to us and encourage everyone to check out Blue Ridge Community Action and come apply for services if they are needed. Thank you for your time.
Ladies, thank you. Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Thank you for your hard work and your dedication to what you do. I know that there's many folks out there that benefit from your services, and just thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming in and making more people aware of the
Yes, of
services
course.
there, because most people do not know.
They do not know. And I think it's important to note that not all of our services are available in all the counties. But that was, we are limited on time. But, as far as just calling and applying, and then we can tell them, quickly if that service is provided in that county.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. That'll bring us to presentation number 4, proclamation declaring November 28th as One Burke Gives Day in Burke County, presented by our friend Alan Wood, President, United Way Board of Directors. Alan, good evening.
Thank you, Chairman Mulway and Commissioners, County Manager. This will be our 4th annual Day of Giving. It will be November 28th. It's One Burke Gives Day. We have 35 nonprofits who are participating with us this year. That's up from 33 last year. Last year, the total raise was a little over $104,000. Burke County United Way does sponsor this event, so there is no cost to the nonprofits. Burke Animal Services Foundation is one of our nonprofits that we support through this, and there are a multitude of others. all the money raised helps to defray costs across the board for many, many, many projects. United Way in particular is supporting child care, backpack programs, self-sufficiency for families, and has helped support some housing for some folks who are struggling through Open Hearts Place. Those are just a few of the things that we do with the funds that we raise. So we do appreciate your support. We're looking for a big year. It's online starting at midnight, actually 12:01 on November 28th, and running through 11:59. So it's online on Facebook. There'll be a lot of events and opportunities. So please support us any way that you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Gentlemen, questions, comments? This is how many years now?
This is year 4.
Year 4. So, well, it's a great thing, great organization. We appreciate what you do. Absolutely. And I would encourage everyone to support it as much as you can. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve proclamation number 2023-11.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
That'll bring us to presentation number 5, financial update for the period ending June 30th and September 30th, 2023. And this will be presented by our CEO, TDA, Ed Phillips.
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? We sure are glad to see this rain, I tell you. It makes a big difference. So for presenting my report tonight, first I want to mention what happened in 2022, last year. Every year in August, we receive a report from the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina related to the visitor spending from the previous year. So this year in August, we were pleased to receive the report that visitors in Burke County spent $133.75 million. That was in 2022. That's an increase of 10.3% from the previous year of 2021. That 10.3% beat all of our neighbors counties except Catawba, which has a very strong and recovering business there for hospitality and conventions and sporting events at their convention center. So they grew quite a bit last year. But if you take that out, we were the second fastest growth, most growth in our region. Here in Burke County in 2022, they claim that travel and tourism industry directly employs more than 850 people with a payroll of almost $30 million a year. And state tax revenue generated in Burke County totaled $5.3 million through sales tax and excise taxes and taxes on personal property related to travel and tourism. So we have a strong tourism economy here in Burke County. It continues to grow. We've fully recovered from the COVID era of 2020, and we're back above 2019 and growing steadily. Our financial report for the end of the year, which ended June 30th, 2023, we took in $904,567 in occupancy tax. We also received $28,802 from the rental of our trolley. And then miscellaneous income was $31,661. We participate in some activities that generate income through us that's passed through, such as advertising in our state magazine. We ended the year with a fund increase of our fund balance. It increased over $105,693, and we are in a strong financial position due to that. For the period that ended September 30th, on September 30th, in our checking account, we had $823,994.91, which is a strong balance for the end of September. And also, we were right on target with our budget for this fiscal year, which started July 1 and through September 30th. In July, we accumulated $93,936.23 of actual occupancy tax in July. Since then, we've also collected August and September, and those are looking strong as well. Our fall color tours on our trolley,
We had 280 seats sold on our trolley in October through 14 fall color tours. We brought people in from all over the country, all over the Southeast that rode the trolley, came in as visitors, stayed the night, stayed multiple nights, some of them, and got to see the beautiful leaves in Burke County from Morganton all the way up to Linville Falls and up Highway 181, the Brown Mountain Overlook, and people had a great time on that. So that's my report. Tourism is strong. We feel like we're going into a good position for 2024. We have around 200 vacation rentals in Burke County that span everywhere from the South Mountains to Hildebrand, Valdez, Glen Alpine, Lake James, Jonas Ridge. They're literally everywhere now in Burke County.
Ed, do you want to mention the new location?
So we have moved. The Burke County Visitor Center is now located at 140 North Sterling Street. We spent 10 years entwined with the Chamber of Commerce in their building. This other facility became available back in the summer. We have upfitted it. Come by and visit. It's a beautiful place. Lots of great photos. I know Commissioner Burns has been by, and some of you else have been by, but come check it out.
Great report, Ed. Jim, questions, comments?
I did want to have one comment. The new location is absolutely beautiful. If anybody goes by to visit and your first reaction when you walk through the door is not, wow, I'm going to be shocked. It looks really good, and it puts a good face on Burke County and our tourism, and I appreciate all the hard work. Thank you.
And just so, to make it easy for folks, it's beside Smokefoot Pond. So most
Right.
people, that business has been in business a long time, so.
Between John Payne's studio.
Between John Payne, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, any other questions, comments, gentlemen? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the report as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Ed. That'll bring us to presentation number 6, presentation of department highlights presented by Corey Fisher-Wellman, our DSS director. Corey, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you guys? I'm coming to you tonight to share a little bit of good news about some of the work we're doing at DSS. I think this is probably one of the most enjoyable things that staff get to do throughout the years. I think this is the 4th year that we've done this Christmas Wishes program, which is our goal with the program is to make sure that each child experiencing foster care has something to open on Christmas morning. You know, as you can imagine, Christmas can be a real difficult time for kids in foster care, so we really want to make an effort to add a little bit of something positive to that. So just, I'll give you a little bit of background about kind of how we operate the program. So during the month of September, social workers spend that time meeting with all the kids on their caseloads, creating wish lists. We handwrite them on tags, and then during the month of October, we spend a lot of time recruiting community partnerships. We had a lot of participations about county employees. We give out those tags in the month of October. And then I believe we started last week. This is actually in the building across the street, but beginning last week, we started receiving the gifts back in, and we'll spend the next, hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have all the gifts in, and then we'll spend the rest of that time between next week and Christmas making sure we get those gifts to the kids that are in our care. Just a little bit of some numbers. We have 212 children participating. That's children 0 to 17. Then we also have 21 young adults in our 18 to 21 program who are also participating. I think we have just under 300 donors, so that ensures that all kids have a donor. And we have had, like I said, several local businesses. We had a number of county employees and county departments who went together and sponsored a number of kids. So, like I said, I think it's enjoyable for us to get to hand out gifts and sort gifts, but I think it's also been enjoyable for the community and other county departments to get to have a hand and help them brighten the day a little bit for a young person in foster care. We're still accepting, in terms of what could still be done, we're still accepting gift cards and generic gifts because it's certainly possible that additional kids will come into foster care between now and Christmas. We want to make sure we have some extra stuff in that event. And then lastly, we have about 90 adult wards who we serve in Burke County, and we're also working to make sure that we're trying to give gift cards to those folks. So we're collecting monetary and gift card donations for those folks. And there's a flyer in your packet that gives a name you can contact if you want to make a donation for the adult awards as well.
Great stuff you're doing. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Comments, questions? How are you on the adult this last one?
I think
Donation or
we have
donor-wise?
enough to give every award the equivalent of like $20. I think last year we gave them $50, but we're at $20 right now. But we'll continue to collect donations until, I guess, for the next couple of weeks to give us enough time to get them to where they need to go.
As a board, obviously, we wholeheartedly support you, and we wholeheartedly would say, please reach deep in your pockets this holiday season, help those less fortunate, and bring a little Christmas miracle to them. So, thank you for it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the report as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. That'll bring us to Section 7 on our agenda, scheduled public hearings. Zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-08 and public hearing. This will be presented by Alan Kleins, our Deputy County Manager. How are you, sir?
Quite well, thank you, Chairman Moley, Commissioners, and members of the public. We have a request, a zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-08. The applicant is Ashkenazic Investments LLC, represented by Justin Mintz on behalf of his folks who own the land. They are requesting to rezone approximately 6.84 acres of land from residential 3R3 to general business. This is an aerial map of the section through there. Just a few months ago, this was the entire tract, and they've since subdivided it. The entire tract's about almost 22 acres, and they want to rezone the front portions here and here to the general business. This is located directly on Morganton Furniture Road. This is Morganton Furniture Road here, and these are two facilities, and then this is Drexel Road and the Grant for I-40. And that's exit 107 Drexel. This is the current zoning map. The current zoning map shows quite a variety of zonings in that area, including industrial across the street from the property in question. There's also a general business property there, and then further up Drexel Road, of course, it's a mix of different types of land uses through that area. The future land use map kind of models the existing zoning, but there is, as I said, a number of in the future land use map matching up with industrial and general business in the area as well. Due to its location along one of Burke County's principal arterial roads, the Blueprint Burke Plan places this area of the county within multiple land use categories. The subject parcel is located within residential infill, but it is adjacent to industrial land use category. There are also several businesses in the area. Staff have considered the request. The Blueprint Burke future land use map supports industrial and commercial uses in the area. There are several businesses located on Drexel Road and Morganton Furniture Road. There are also both industrial and general business zoning in the surrounding area. The properties are adjacent to I-40 and the access road across the street from the proposed zoning. More economic development is desired within Burke County, and rezoning of the two parcels to general business would allow the property owner to establish commercial uses that would be accessed from exit 107. Any non-residential development would go through a site development plan and review and approval process. That process takes into account roads, traffic, residential buffers that would be put in place, land and water quality. This is kind of the area going in to the site. There's a map showing that this was before the property was subdivided, but they're pointing out what's to be rezoned and then some of the businesses in the area. That first large rooftop is Blacktop Industries or Blacktop Studios. One of the comments we've received is Cleet York Road traveling through here. It originally always traveled through that property for years, and it provides access to the rear of the site for some residential uses. It's about a 15-foot right-of-way or easement through that tract. And then this is Harefield Properties across the street. That's the larger business there. And that's the Cleet York Road. Now, any development that would be proposed here would not necessarily need to use Cleet York Road. They would have direct access, potentially meeting DOT standards from a driveway right off of Morganton Furniture Road. And that is, that's the request. The planning board did review this at their meeting on September 28th. There was quite a few neighbors who came from up in the residential area there. They had some concerns about access and potential noise from a new business, some concern about traffic generated at the site. But at the end of the day, the planning board did vote, and they recommended 5-0 to recommend approval of the request as it comes to you now. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Alan. Gentlemen, questions?
Oh, can you get back to the screen where you had the, there you go. So the land to what would be west of us, looking at that wall, is currently zoned what? Okay.
Yeah, the land, sorry, this is the current zoning. Land is currently zoned R3 through there, on that side of the road.
And you said that would have access off Morganton Road, Morganton Furniture Road?
Yes. Yeah, the access really comes from the front. This is Morganton Furniture Road. It's has state DOT maintenance. It probably ends somewhere about here, but they have the first part. And so these sites could, you know, and probably recommended to utilize Morganton Furniture Road for any kind of access. And Cleet York Road is quite, you know, small and unimproved at this point.
I'll get it.
Any other questions, gentlemen? If not, we'll now hold a public meeting. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this issue? Please come forward, state your name.
My name is Seth Olson. I live in one of the neighborhoods just above here, which is the Stones Throw neighborhood. And I understand the idea of the development to increase taxes and that type of thing. The point I would make, though, is that the businesses that you're comparing it to were built long before a lot of these residents were created. And so the traffic is one of the main concerns, as well as the substandard road, which is what Morganton Furniture Road is, as far as a business development such as this. So really, that would be one of the main concerns. If somehow the access was changed to Tom Deal Road or something like that, it would probably work a lot better. But there's a lot of children that play on this street and families that live along this area that would just be drastically devastated by this development. So really, you know, it's kind of a safety issue. That's the way we're looking at it as far as the development there.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak to the issue?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Kenneth Coffey. I own Blacktop Studios. Can you flip it back? So I was born and raised here. A lot of things have changed over a lot of years. I never thought we'd have beer on the county square, but things change, always. So this first business is me. I do own that. And it just seems logical that anything that's going to be in that proximity to I-40 would be granted some kind of proper use. Proper use is already on the other side of the road. The road, as a matter of fact, there's really not that much traffic on the road. I don't see people walking the road. I don't see people riding a bicycle. If you've been on the road, you'll ride down the road, but you won't ride back up. It's straight up. It's pretty healthy to climb in a car, much less walk. But basically, my thing is, we've got a lot of growth. This county is on a growth path. There's a lot going on the last 10 years, and I see another 20 years of growth, and this seems like a logical movement to do, make this industrial over there. This seems logical to me. Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Please come forward, state your name.
Hi, my name is Keith Taylor. I do live also at the top of the mountain there on Stone's Throw. I know that the ramps right there are exceedingly short and aggressive, and that mostly coming to the east side on 40. It's essentially a blind curve, and I have come up on 5 or 6 cars on that ramp before and just had to really get on the brakes. And I don't know if the correct impact studies have been done to see if it can support a retail area where who knows how many vehicles might be at certain times of the day hitting that ramp. And like I said, my father's statement is that exit 107 in Valdez has the shortest ramps in North Carolina, and they do seem pretty aggressive when you get off them either direction. So I'd question whether or not we've done enough to justify approving something that could create a high volume of traffic in that area. And like you said earlier, that road is not really, well, it's low traffic. It's not, I don't know that it's maintained that well, but it is a very narrow road to begin with. And who knows what kind of volume a retail business is going to bring to that area. So I think some specifics should be worked out to know whether or not there's going to be a real impact in that whole vicinity. It's a very tight turn. It's almost a U-turn right off of the interstate there to get onto Morganton Furniture. And I think there needs to be some discovery done on what would be the safest way to handle that whole area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here wishes to speak to this issue? There being none, I will close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, we're going to have to do something to get it up to a vote, so I'll move to adopt ordinance number 2023-15 as it relates to ZMA 2023-08, a request to rezone 6.84 acres of land corresponding to 2 parcels, PIN numbers being 2722392577 and 2722391189, located on Morganton Furniture Road and Cleet York Road, from the residential 3 district to the general business GB district. Board finds that the rezoning is consistent with the Blueprint Burke Plan, which has a goal to support entrepreneurship and a positive economic climate. Further, the board notes that the rezoning is inconsistent with the future land use map for this property, but there are non-residentially zoned parcels across the street and along Drexel Road. Conditions have changed in that a new owner has purchased the property and would like to submit development plans for the parcels. Furthermore, the board finds the rezoning request to be reasonable and in the public interest of Burke County for the following reasons. Those reasons being the Blueprint Burke future land use map supports commercial development in this area, and there are currently both industrial and general business zone parcels adjacent to the properties. The subject parcel is located directly off an interstate interchange, which makes the location favorable for commercial development, and economic development is desired within Burke County, and rezoning the parcel would support these goals.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, that'll bring us to Community Development Zoning Map Amendment ZMA 2023-09. I have another public hearing. This will be presented by Alan Glines, our Planning Director again.
Thank you again, Commissioners, members of the public. We have a rezoning request for 3 properties located in the far east sections of the county. Miss Debbie Watson, a Robert Parker, and a Gary Nolan have all asked that their properties be zoned off of Airport Road, his road, and the corner of Bailey Drive. 2 of the properties, this business here and this business here, this is a Ace Tire Sales, this business. This business is Cornerstone Upholstery. And Ace Tire Sales has been at that location since at least 1980, and probably before that, since it's family land and family business for a very long time. The Parkers have owned this property here since at least 2001, but they bought it from Mrs. Parker's mother, who also owned that property for some time. So those have been there for a good while. Now, Miss Watson owns this tract here and would like to establish a commercial use there. All the properties are zoned either R1, R2, or R3, and they all would request general business. That's the current zoning map. And for the large tract here with the tire sales business, it's this one in the middle, we would recommend only rezoning a portion of it so that we don't, in the future, if there's any change or growth in a general business, type of use, it doesn't reach all the way into that neighborhood. It kind of stays back up by closer to the road. Airport Road is. Okay. The future land use map actually has this area designated for Lake James Roadhouse overlay. So there's a variety of businesses that are anticipated to occur in an overlay area like that, because lakes attract a lot of different uses. Something like this might be thought of as a commercial node for the area around the lake, and there's a number of them along Airport Road, his road, and surrounding areas. As you travel through East Burke County, there's several businesses will be found kind of clustered together like that. What else we have here? There's some photos of the parcels themselves. This is the first one, Mrs. Watson's property, and there's several structures on it already. And this is businesses in the back. This is the upholstery business. This is sort of further back with the upholstery business. The other business is a little bit harder to see from the road, but it's back there in the back here. So, very pretty part of Burke County. We feel that Blueprint Burke Plan proposes commercial uses as a part of Lake Road, his scenic area, with the goal of the plan is to promote and provide a positive economic climate which supports entrepreneurship. For the 2 businesses, this would bring them into compliance with the actual activity on the site itself already. And then this other business would be allowed to expand there. Understand that Ms. Watson has a business that is a home building and home repair business, and she'd like to move it to Burke County. So that's what would happen at that site. Airport Road, his road is a large, fairly active collector road that can handle the traffic generated between commercial activities and supports that mix of uses between the city of Hickory and town of Road is. So we've got a good road there. And like I said, for that one portion of parcel 3, we would only rezone a 1.25 acre portion of that larger tract. And the planning board did review this at their meeting on September 28th. And there was no public comment at that time. And they did vote to recommend approval by a vote of 5-0. So I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you, Alan. Gentlemen?
Alan, can you go back to the satellite view of the property?
That
Yeah. So who owns the property that's to the left up there?
Okay. This is Miss Watson and her business is.
I'm talking about the house that's up there. It looks like a home structure that's across the street.
This one here. No,
Yeah.
I'm not sure who owns that.
I'm actually Jimmy Watson, and here what we're doing is we're developing Bailey Acres.
Ma'am, would you?
If you need a point, there's a little red point there.
Thank you. I'm sorry, my name's Debbie Watson. I own AAH Homes, and we buy distressed properties, fix them up, and resell them. And so one of the things I'm pointing, if I'm doing this right, oops, I just missed you up. I'm so sorry. One of the things I want to point out is even though our business, it doesn't look like it's operated as a business, and talking to all of the current fire chiefs from Drowning Creek, which is our fire district, and even previous chiefs, you say the building has never been used for anything but business. It's had small businesses in it. Back in the 50s and 60s, it was a poker house. I mean, it's just been everything in the county, but it's never been residential, even though it was zoned residential. So what we're doing is we right now have a large office complex in Caldwell County that we're selling, and we're downsizing to this, and we're building. We have already obtained all of our zoning, septic permits to develop the rest of Bailey Acres. The house that you're asking about was built in 1950, and Drowning Creek Fire Department was getting ready to tear it down and use it for practice burns when we bought the property. And we have since brought that property back and sold it to a young man who just loves being up there and has helped us keep everything mowed and cleaned and everything while we're getting our permits and building on there. We've also did an option on 8 more acres on this church road that's right across the street to continue to build houses in Burke County, and that's our goal, is to move from Caldwell to Burke County. I live on the Creekview, which is right, if you go across the knoll from there, I live there, and so getting ready to turn 61, I don't want to keep driving to Caldwell County and working every day. I want something closer and something smaller and kind of looking to downsize. And then in talking to the other gentlemen that own the others, they're getting up in age, and their concern is, well, what happens if one day I want to sell my business? What's a lender going to say to somebody who wants to continue that business going in Burke County and it's not zoned for a business? They're not going to be able to get a loan and buy it and keep the upholstery company going or the tire company going because it's not zoned correctly. Even though it's been operating for years, you still got to jump through all the hoops that a lender would want if they got ready to sell their business. And I'm the youngest of the 3 business owners. Did that answer it? Did that help you? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any other questions, comments? There being none, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this issue? No one? Then I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance number 2023-16 as it relates to ZMA 2023-09, a request to rezone 3.48 acres of land corresponding to a 1.85 acre parcel from a split zone of residential 1 R1 and residential 3 to the general business zoning district, pin number 27836909190. Secondly, a 0.38 acre parcel from residential 2 to general business district, pin number 27836882916. And then thirdly, a 1.25 acre portion of a 3.24 acre parcel from R3 to the general business district, pin number 278369541. The board finds the rezoning to be consistent with the Blueprint Burke land use plan and that the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the goal of the land use plan is to promote and provide a positive economic climate to support entrepreneurship and help businesses to succeed. 2 of the 3 parcels are long-established businesses. The third parcel was once a business some years ago. The rezoning would support the business community, which is part of the fabric of the area. And lastly, Airport Road, Hiss Road is a local collector road that can handle the traffic generated by commercial activities and supports a mix of uses located between the city of Hickory and the town of Road Hiss.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. Gentlemen, all those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Well, gentlemen, that'll bring us to section number 8 on our agenda, informal public comments. I will open the floor for informal public comments. I'll remind each speaker you are limited to 3 minutes. And let's make sure we do have the red light on at the lectern so you can be heard. So, Madam Clerk, who do we have to sign up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I would call Caroline Avery.
My name is Caroline Avery, 115 Riverside Court, Morganton, North Carolina. Good evening. First of all, I just want to thank each of you for your leadership and your service to this county. Clearly, you are 5 people who deeply care about this community and the people who live and work here, and I'm grateful. Thank you. As you know, I am a member of Burke Coalition for Reconciliation. We have a few speakers here tonight, and they will be addressing you shortly. Thank you for that privilege. Recently, I was able to read some of your plans and your focus areas. We share many of the same hopes and dreams for this community that we call home. As you know, 3 of your 5 focus areas are as follows. 1, community advancement. 2, economic growth and sustainment. And 3, public safety and well-being. These are fantastic focus areas. I agree 100%. Yet on our courthouse lawn, a 9-foot statue that is not even authentic lords over this county's central gathering place, sending a very different message to many. I believe the statue is inconsistent with your focus areas. I ask for you to partner with us and help us find a compromise that supports your focus areas and respects the dignity and heritage of all Burke Countyans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Candace Yount.
Good evening, everybody. Are you enjoying yourself? And I don't like to turn my back on people.
My name is Candace Skidmore Yount, raised in Valdez, lived in Drexel. I was married to the chief of police there and still am, many years later. I've been asked to come and talk to you about Benjamin Clark. My grandmother told me his story. She got it straight from her mother, who was one of Benjamin Clark's children. Benjamin was living in Burke County, pre-Civil War area, along Quaker Meadows somewhere, with the Henry Wisnut family. He and his 2 brothers had had some unfortunate family circumstances, and they were taken in by the Wisnut family, so he started with nothing. He eventually married Tima Powell and began his own family, also taking in her brother and her sister. In 1860, he had quite a crew to support, and the war took him away from the family farm. He was captured twice during his military career. Once paroled, the second time he was not so fortunate. He was sent north by train to Elmira, New York, which many years later was revealed to be every bit as bad as Andersonville, South Carolina. As a matter of fact, it's known by Hellmira. The year it was opened as a prisoner of war camp was infamous. The officer running the situation wanted to punish the Confederate soldiers. He cut their rations, which were already abysmal anyway. They had no medical care. Their one source of water was polluted. They began to die of typhoid, diphtheria, all kinds of diseases. There was a local sexton who had come north on the Underground Railroad. He was an enslaved person, and he took it upon himself to bury those people. And there is a monument there, which I have never been to see. The only monument I have seen is the one on the courthouse square. The most important thing to me are those names on that monument, and Benjamin's is one of them. It would be a good compromise, I think, and make everybody at least somewhat happy with the situation. If you could restore the monument to what it once was, put the stone top back on it that was cut off and discarded in the field, and put the soldier somewhere in a museum. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Pastor George Logan.
Good evening, the Commissioners, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I want to share some thoughts with you as well concerning the Confederate monument and the statue. So I'll read this, and so if I don't look at you, it'll be because I've tried to stay on task here. I'm here along with others from the Burke Coalition for Reconciliation, who for almost 3 years have petitioned you all to remove the Confederate monument and the statue from the courthouse square. Some may have reasoned that it won't happen, that you all will never take up this cause, and that there is just no appetite amongst most of the citizens of Burke County to remove it. It is often the case that people initially desire something other than the things that are best for them. We've all had to change something in our lives for the overall benefit for ourselves and that of others. Recently, our church joined another church for 6 straight weeks. We responded to the courageous ask of my pastor friend to come together for this unprecedented time. Our church is predominantly black, and the other church is predominantly white. We were able to reimagine what church life in our community could be like. We found out that our unity superseded our differences, and that togetherness is far healthier for our 2 churches and the community as a whole. Could this be a model for what a community could be if we courageously pursued those things that make for unity? What if you all led the charge to change the optics of our county by challenging the existence of Confederate symbols currently on Interstate 40, where tens of thousands of people pass by in their commute almost every day? What if Burke County dared to challenge the status quo, and you all spoke out collectively as commissioners for the removal of the Confederate monument and statue, or possibly agreed upon some form of a concession? I wonder if history might just pat you guys on the shoulders and say, thank you for doing what is right and just. To put it in the words of Martin Luther King, the time is always right to do right. Thank you all, and again, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Carla Kincaid.
Carla Kincaid, 1276 NC Highway 126. I'm here again, and on this last county commissioners meeting before Thanksgiving, I can truly say I am thankful for the opportunity and the freedom that most of those that were enslaved during Confederacy did not have the opportunity to do, to speak out and speak up. I'm also thankful for those who continue to speak out to the cause of unity and reconciliation, dialogue, and support for progress and projects, especially in this community. Even some businesses have supported some other causes that allows me to think that they are also trying to change things in the community. May not be about the statute, but there's some things happening where they're trying to do better in reference to unity in the community. They truly believe that we have a responsibility to come together as a community to determine how we can demonstrate our firm commitment to justice, not discrimination, to authentic dialogue, not rhetoric, and to empathy, not hatred. We do have leaders here as well as in North Carolina that would rather have had the Burke County Courthouse Confederate statue incident to continue before taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. We'd rather have had protests instead of peace, with the possibility of violence at that time. The very thing the Confederacy was part of was violence, of the enslavement of a people, which was violent at that time and it still affects today's ancestors in many ways. Again, when we know better, we do better. And even though there are laws in North Carolina, we've had several other counties. And as I mentioned before, Asheville, even after 2015, when those laws were made, that also had continued to do their joint duty in trying to remove statues, coming together as a city and county commissioners, not based on violence, but just based on what they believe in, as well as other counties. I don't have time to go through all of those, and maybe I continue those the next time. But we don't wait for things, county commissioners. We depend on you to see a way that we can resolve the situation here in Burke County. There are a lot of other people out there that may not be able to stand up, but I'll continue to stand up. Happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Austin Googe.
Hey, my name's Austin Googe. I live at 4654 Talent Road in Morganton, North Carolina. I appreciate all the first responders, EMS, police, everybody. But Burke County has 511 square miles, approximately 92,000 citizens. EMS is very short-staffed. All the employees are overworked, and we are taking the liberty, our EMS is taking the liberty to pick up decedents at their home and deliver them to the funeral home of their choice. What they're not telling the citizens is that they're charging them upwards of $800 to do this, which is wrong because citizens are they're suffering, and it's just hard to come up with the money nowadays. Also, Burke County EMS does not have a contract with North Carolina Office of Chief Medical Examiners to pick up decedents and transfer them from the scene to the county morgue. I have addressed that with OCME, and they are going to open up an investigation on Burke County EMS for that. I've tried to address this issue 2 months ago with Mr. Carswell and Mr. Epley. Never heard anything back from them. So I wanted to take this time to just bring it to everybody's attention. I own a mortuary transportation company. We have drivers on all edges of the county to respond to this. We're trained to pick up decedents. EMS is trained to save lives, not haul decedents in the back of their ambulance and take up county funds. What Burke County EMS is doing is charging families for the transports, and with those CME cases, that is illegal. And if they're not charging the families, they're doing it for free. So we're burning up taxpayer funds for nothing. Just like I said, I own a mortuary transportation company. We have vehicles all over the county, and we're trained to do this. So I would appreciate it if we could work with EMS and work out some kind of a contract to help Burke County and free up some of our resources. Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Unless I missed someone, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll close this portion of the meeting, and we'll move on to Section 9, Consent Agenda. I'll ask Mr. Epley, our County Manager, to review those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, several items for consideration. Each of these were presented at your pre-agenda meeting. Item 1 is from Burke County Public Schools. This was presented by Mr. Lawson, and this is for financial data for the period ending September 30th, 2023. We also have a resolution of support for Amtrak passenger rail. As you recall, that was presented by Chris White, who has been a multi-year member of the Western North Carolina Rail Committee. Item 3 is an appointment from the clerk for the Council of Aging. Item 4 for consideration is approval of budget amendment number 3, which, as a reminder, implements the regulatory GASB standard number 87 for our EMS fleet, as well as remobilizes the Jonas Ridge capital project. Item 5 is a resolution to approve the road name of Briar Creek Road, as the board worked on at your last meeting. Item 6 is from our tax department. It's your collection report for October 2023. Item 7 for consideration is also from the tax department, and that is your release and refund report for October 2023. And finally, for consideration is the from Western Piedmont Community College, the financial information for the quarter ending September 30th, 2023. All of that is in your packet for review and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. County Manager. Gentlemen, what's the board's pleasure?
Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that's 5-0. That'll bring us to Section 10, items for decision. Approval budget amendment number 4, presented by Brian Epley, our County Manager.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. An item that we've been now working on and talking about for some time. This started primarily during the budget process and has led through ultimately what a few weeks ago required General Assembly action to ratify. Ultimately asking you to consider this budget amendment, which provides the necessary mechanics for us to finalize this transaction. But I thought I may start, just for review purposes, of really highlighting this relationship, this funding relationship with public education. As we know, inside of your strategic plan, there's really 2 focus areas that this impacts: economic growth and community advancement. Both of those focus areas have goals. And as we left March 2nd and 3rd, your budget retreat, strategic planning work session, where you were developing these focus areas and these goals, as it related to public education, the board highlighted really 3 points of emphasis, 3 goals. Number 1, we wanted to be more competitive in our operational funding. At that retreat, we started talking about the difference between total funding and cash flow, and how we may be at a disadvantage in some areas as it relates to how we can spend some of the allocation that are being provided to the school system. We also wanted to find additional and dedicated funding for teacher supplements, and then review ways to again try to move the needle more towards a more competitive student-teacher ratio. As I dive into the conversation, and I'll move quickly, I think it's important at first to understand what is the county's responsibility in public school funding. What's our current funding structure look like? There's some legislative history that has to be considered that's ultimately leading us to the recommended changes for tonight. The first thing that I would say is that the county's relationship with the school system, and I'm very thankful to have Dr. Swan and members of his team here with us tonight. This is a constitutional real discussion. This concept of sound, free public education really is something that's embedded in the framework of the North Carolina Constitution, and that's not only what gives us the responsibility, but it also gives us the authority to do that. And so when we started this budget discussion back in March, one of the things that caught our attention when we looked at our functional allocation of our budget was the fact that on the educational side, we seem to be lagging at only about 22% of our budget being allocated. And when we compared that to some of our more regional and local government peer comparisons, that typically is more like 29 to 30% of your budget. That was further complicated, and again, it teed up this conversation of total funding versus cash flow. And as we were trying to really unpeel that onion and understand how only 22% of our budget was going to public education, and out of the 115 LEAs in North Carolina, we ranked 95th in local education funding, and you can see roughly 36% behind those peers. But on the other side, there was this robust amount of total funding, just a large proportionate share was restricted for capital. And obviously because of those regulatory restrictions, it didn't really allow our local leadership, our board of commissioners and our school board to make decisions about local public education policy. Cause and effect, we know that resources, people, time and money are placed in an area of priority, and that over-restricted funding that really, now that we know, ultimately restricted sales tax revenue in Burke County to be used only for capital purposes, kind of hindered the ability to place dollars in areas of priority on the operational side. And that began to stick out to us. Teacher supplements, as I mentioned, was an area that we wanted to try to do a little more. So teacher ratio is another area that we felt that there was a lot of value in trying to be more competitive there. As we approached the 24 budget that this board approved back in June, we were very pleased that we were able to increase that operational cash flow funding from $16.3 to $18.5 million. That's about a $2.2 million increase, or roughly 9% on a per pupil basis. But that still wasn't as competitive as we want to be, and it still left this really unleveraged allocation that's currently about $37.5 million in restricted capital. And in essence, what we're trying to do, and what we've been able to accomplish through this movement, through understanding the legislative side, is to regain control at a local level. I think that's what ultimately we've been trying to do, because that was inadvertently more than 40 years ago taken away from local leaders. There was a House bill passed in 1983, and then another one in 1985 that really changed the way that sales tax revenue could be used in Burke County. North Carolina statewide has a 6.75% sales tax rate. Some counties have a higher than that based on other taxing, but all 100 counties have the 6.75, and of that, 2% comes back to county governments in a very regulated, normal type way. But in Burke County, as we've all now discovered, it was very different. It was very different. That was further complicated through some consent orders and some litigation that happened on 3 different occasions. But what we're here to really talk about and to formalize and execute tonight is a session law that was ratified in late October that essentially made Burke County like the other counties in North Carolina. It unrestricts and unregulates those dollars so that the resources can be placed in the areas of highest priority. That session law was considered by the General Assembly because of a joint resolution that was passed between the Burke County County Commissioners and the Burke County Public School Board of Education on September the 8th. And really now fully, since both local leadership and our legislative body and the General Assembly have moved this forward, there's three fundamental changes that need to happen to the county's budget. I would point out this is not any additional appropriation. This total spend number is not changing in any way. It's just remodeling how the funding flows. The first thing that we need to do is change how we receipt sales tax, Article 39, 40, 42, and 44, and this simply would make us mirror what the other counties in North Carolina are doing. The second thing is currently there's two school capital funds. We would consolidate those into one school capital reserve, and I would point out that at June 30th of this past year, there's $37.5 million in that fund. Those dollars will remain committed to capital. They'll remain intended for education, and they'll be housed in that capital reserve until they're put to work. And then lastly, we would ask for a modification to the current expense budget, adding an additional $1.5 million, roughly 8.1%, and that would be funded through prospective revenue. So now that the timing of the legislative change happens to align sales taxes revenues collected 90 days in arrears. So the fact that it was approved in October is really going to retro all the way back to the beginning of our fiscal year. So we'll have a prospective application of those revenue and be able to fund that with dollars that are coming. But that would be really does two things. That's the component that helps provide the necessary funding for teacher supplements. And a lot of numbers here, but this is the budget amendment that staff is asking you to consider. And I would tell you that it does these three things. Happy to talk through any of the details and those mechanics, Mr. Chairman, but asking for the board to consider budget amendment number 4 as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. And as we all know, we've been laser focused on this for for a long time. And so I do want to thank not only our board members, but school board members and our representatives at the state. And I specifically want to point you out because this has been a tangled mess, and you came in and were able to resolve this spider web. And we all understand it now, but it was not understood for years. And so the work you've put in, staff's put in, working with our friends at the school system, the work they've put in is quite remarkable to get to this day where we can actually do this. And so, gentlemen, questions, comments? I know we've been laser focused on this for quite a while, but I'll open the floor to any comments or questions.
I want to make a couple of comments. This has been way too long, way too long. I started back when Randy Burns was chairman of the school board and I was chairman of this board. If there were ever, I don't want to call them frivolous lawsuits, but unwarranted lawsuits, these were unwarranted lawsuits that were brought that nobody quite understood. The judges didn't even understand. The judges have even said, I can't believe that I made this decision against Burke County. 99 other counties knew how to do it. We didn't. I don't know why that got to that point. Randy and I have sat on the telephone night after night after night after night trying to figure out what we're going to do. The infamous low wealth funding, whoever thought of that ought to go back to Argentina or wherever they came from. It's just a joke. And we finally got you here, and I commissioned you with a charge of figuring this onion, and you started unpeeling it, and you looked at me and said, my gosh, it's not your exact words, but we finally unpeeled the onion and got to where we needed to be. We have not done our children right in Burke County for many years. We have not done our teachers right for many years. This corrects probably the most egregious problem that I think we've ever had between a board of county commissioners and a board of education. And I am so proud of you for spending time that you did to come up with the right solution for this and undoing what should have been undone a long time. I personally want to apologize to you folks. I should have got this done a long time ago, and I didn't. So I apologize to you for not getting that done in a timely manner. I'll stop there.
It's always tough to follow Commissioner Carswell, but absolutely. But the time is now. We're here. We're fixing it, and we'll be able to provide for those teacher supplements and the things that we want to do to raise per pupil spending. And so, quite a proud day, gentlemen. Any other questions, comments? There being none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve budget amendment number 4 as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0. Madam Clerk. And I would like to thank those representing the school system back there for sitting in patiently, but you've been sitting patiently for 35 years. So we just had to get across the finish line for an extra hour and a half. So thank y'all for coming out. Absolutely. Thank you. This will bring us to decision item number 2, appointments to the East Burke Senior Center Advisory Council. It's a mouthful. And so our clerk. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the audience. This is a request to remove the following names from the East Burke Senior Center Advisory Council: Norma Klein, Virginia Wisnett, Colonel Thomas Taylor, and Sharon Thornton. We also would like to thank them for their service. We need to appoint someone to seat number 1, which is a 3-year at-large term ending May 31st, 2026. We need to appoint someone to seat number 3, which is an at-large 55 and older seat for the remainder of a 3-year term ending May 31st, 2025. We need to reappoint Karen Robinson to the East Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, seat number 4, at-large 55 and older, for a 3-year term ending May 31st, 2026. Or you have the option of appointing one of the applicants in your packet. And we need to appoint Rebecca Bova, the East Burke Senior Center Site Manager, to the council, representing seat number 5, which is designated for the site manager to complete the remainder of a term ending May 31st, 2024. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, comments, gentlemen? There being none, we're going to have 4 separate motions tonight. Okay, a moment. Gentlemen, you can see the first motion. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Patricia Hall to that seat number 1.
I'm sorry, Mr. Grant, we have to do, the first motion is remove the following names. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We can do it that way.
Okay. It is 4 different ones. This one's a little confusing this evening.
To remove the following names from the EBSCAC's roster and thank them for their service to the community: Norma Klein, Virginia Wisnett, Colonel Thomas Taylor, and Sharon Thornton.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
All right. Next I'll open the floor for nominations for seat number 1, East Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, 3-year at-large, term ending May 31st, 2026. And seat number 3, East Burke Senior Center at-large 55+ for the remainder of a 3-year term ending May 31st, 2025. So nominations, so the floor is open for nominations. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Jackie Fleck for seat number 1 and Karen O'Donnell for seat number 3.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. Are there any other nominations at this time? There being none, I will close the floor for nominations. Gentlemen, all those in favor of those nominations signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item, item number 3, under this is to reappoint Karen Robinson to the Eastburg Senior Center Advisory Council, seat number 4, at-large 55+, for a 3-year term ending May 31st, 2026. Or we could open the floor for nominations. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Karen Robinson to the Eastburg Senior Center Advisory Council.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried, 5-0, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
And we have one other motion to appoint Rebecca Bova, Eastburg Senior Center Site Manager, to the Eastburg Senior Center Advisory Council, seat number 5, Senior Center Site Manager, to complete the remainder of a term ending May 31st, 2024. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Rebecca Bova, the Eastburg Senior Center Site Manager, to the Eastburg Senior Center Advisory Council, seat number 5.
Not so easy.
To complete the remainder of a term ending May 31st, 2024.
Little tongue twister, isn't it?
It was there for a second.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried, 5-0, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Perfect.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, this will bring us to section 11, reports and comments. And we'll start with Margaret Pierce, our County Finance Officer.
Just want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving holiday. Don't eat too much and take a good nap.
Good advice. Our County Attorney.
Nothing from me tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to remind the commissioners about the Farm City Breakfast on November 28th at 8 a.m. at Highlands Butchery in Valdez. And to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. County Manager.
Nothing for me, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we could get the schools back on track the way we ought to be doing that, and I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to report that I was able to represent the board last week in Cleveland, Ohio for the NADO conference. NADO meaning National Association of Development Organizations, on behalf of the Western Piedmont Council of Governments, which is one of my committees that the board was gracious enough to elect me to serve on. I want to spend just a minute talking about our county staff, our county manager. You guys are rock stars. I mean, to see where we've come in the past 7 months. I've gotten several calls over the last few days, particularly since the most recent email that came out from the county manager. I've had 2 calls from the sheriff's department today. I've had other employees reach out. I couldn't be happier that we're finally going to be able to do something about teacher supplements. I've bared some responsibility for the condition that they were in, because in 2015 we had to kind of change that process from a percentage-based to a longevity-based approach due to some budget constraints. So today is especially a happy day for me, because I feel like we've righted something that wasn't a wrong, it was a necessity at the time, but we've taken care of it, and I'm excited about that. And to all of you in the room and all of you watching at home or work, wherever you're at, I hope you have the happy Thanksgiving that you've had. I hope you eat too much at least 3 times. And I hope that I just wish you and your family well.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Vice Chair Britton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No comment other than I will also wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Carswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. November the 29th, Burke County will be hosting the One More Thing Presidential Initiative meeting, first meeting of the committee that's been put together. We really look forward to that. There'll be some guest speakers here. One of the things I've learned this week, I got invited to go to the hospital to sit down. I was not aware of how many babies that are addicted to opioids go through that hospital over there. It's my understanding that Caldwell County does not, they don't deliver babies anymore. Those babies are now being born in Carolinas Medical here in Morganton. It's my understanding also that there's 2 hospitals up in the upper counties in the mountains that are sending their babies down to McDowell County. And there's a rumor that McDowell County may not be delivering any more babies, and that will revert over to Burke County. So we're sitting in the middle of a hot spot here with the stigma that is associated with addicted mothers having babies here in this county. I'm going to make this a limb of my program of one more thing. I did not know how bad this was. Again, I'm with many things to do. Sometimes things just falls through the crack, you know. But I was just shocked at how many babies that used to have to stay in the hospital for 32 days. And now there's a program that's been developed called Eat, Sleep, and Console, and most babies are leaving the hospital in 5 days. But this is a money proposition, and Carolinas Medical over here for us has picked up the tab. They're paying for everything through that, for those babies, and so we're going to try to see if there's anything else that we can do. That's the good news, sad news, but the other sad news I want to report is Dr. James West, County Commissioner in Wake County, passed away Friday. Dr. West I was really close to him. He's a fine fellow. He worked hard for the NAACP, and he worked hard for the people in Wake County. Well respected man. Sat on the association board, County Commissioner Association board with me for the last 7 or 8 years. I'm going to miss Dr. West. He was a very fine human being. And please remember his family. There's no arrangements for Dr. West yet. The family's just wanting some time to reflect. So please remember Dr. West. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Barswell. Well said. He was a great person. Great person. Well, I've got a couple of courtesy reminders, but the first one I'll start with is if, Kay will send out invitations to us, gentlemen, so pay attention to those. We get asked to participate in a lot of really neat, fun events over the holiday season, and so you probably received roughly a half a dozen from Kay, maybe just today. And so I would encourage all the commissioners, if you can fit it in your schedule, and I know we're all busy, let's represent ourselves well and show up to those events, because it is important to them and it's important to us. And so thank you for that. Courtesy reminders, November 23rd and 24th, county offices closure for Thanksgiving. November 27th, gifts due back for the DSS Christmas wishes. Remind once again everyone to spay or neuter your pets. Foster or adopt a pet from Burke County Animal Services, please. Cover your loads to the convenience site and landfill, please. Don't litter, pick up trash. And as Alan Wood mentioned earlier, November 28th is One Burke Gives, given through the United Way. Also, December 4th is our Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting at 3 p.m. And on December 5th, Morganton Christmas Parade, and I hope we get to see Commissioner Britton in his Christmas outfit. It's quite a suit, folks, I will tell you. I look forward to it. It's a highlight each year at the Christmas Parade. So, that being said, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and then I will turn it over to Kay for vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the public. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be engaged in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ areas, Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, East Burke Senior Center Advisory Board, Council on Aging, Burke County Board of Health, Hickory Regional Planning Commission, Drexel Planning Board for the ETJ alternate, and the Burke County Veterans Service Board.
And as Madam Clerk just said, there's plenty of opportunities to volunteer and participate in government in our county for the betterment of our county. So please reach out to Madam Clerk and she will put you to work. Gentlemen, there is no need for closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk.